everyone, Jennifer here. Welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Jennifer. Today we are going to be discussing narcissistic audience members. I decided to title this video Narcissistic Audience Members rather than Audience Etiquette because I think more people will be drawn to this title because I think all of us have an experience of being an audience member, whether it is for a production that our children are in, or a movie theater, or a professional theater production, a graduation ceremony, some sort of thing. We have all had an experience where we are sitting in an audience and another audience member is doing something to draw attention to themselves and to take away attention from the performance that you came to see. So it is the end of the year and we've all been subject to many of our children's performances and ceremonies and things like that. And of course, just like last year, I have a few personal stories of my own to share with you. So I thought that I would do this video. This is an audience etiquette video, but it's also a video talking about the number one most important thing as an audience member. And that is to realize that it's not about you. So before we get into today's discussion, I am drinking the iced tea by Teavana. It's the Passion Tango iced tea, and I love it. Very refreshing. Okay, so I hope that you have made your cup of tea and you are ready to join me on this chat. So normally on Tea Time with Jennifer, I will discuss, current events, popular stories, things that have gone viral that I think are relevant to today. And so today I'm discussing something that has been on my mind for so long, and it just all came to a culmination last Sunday when I attended my daughter's ballet recital. Before I tell you my etiquette horror story, I want to talk about being an audience member, basically. And there are so many tips, etiquette tips, on how to be a good audience member, but I truly believe that the number one tip is to not bring attention to yourself. Whatever it is that you're seeing, whether it's a movie or a professional production or a children's production, whatever it is, you are there to give honor to the people on stage and to watch them, and we shouldn't make it about us. So the reason why I titled this Narcissistic Audience Members is because that is just the number one offense that I'm finding lately when I attend things, is that people in the audience are only thinking about themselves. They are not thinking about anybody else. And so my story for you will illustrate this perfectly. Okay, so last weekend was my daughter's annual ballet recital. They have two each year, and the one in the spring is the big one. And it takes place at a large auditorium, and it's pretty full. It's a wonderful production and they do such a good job putting it on. There's all sorts of ages, all the way down from 2-year-olds to teenagers, and it's just wonderful. I really enjoy going to see these events. I love seeing what the kids have worked on so hard the whole year. And every parent, every grandparent, everyone's excited to see their child on stage. So something happened in this show that I have never seen before, and my husband has never seen before. And he said to me, I have never seen anything like that before in my life. And I agreed. I had other friends in the audience, whose daughters were in the show, and they couldn't believe it either. And it's just the way that the world is going. So, okay, here's my story. So basically in the recital, there were about 4 dances that happened. And the policy of the recital, by the way, which I love, is that there is absolutely no video recording from the audience. There's no video recording because they have a DVD that you can purchase at the end if you like. Or if you want to record them, you can come to the dress rehearsal the day before, which is also what I did, and you can record them. So I went to the dress rehearsal the day before the recital, and with my professional YouTube camera, I recorded my daughters, I got close-ups of them, it was wonderful. It was just like it was the performance. So I was able to get that. Plus we're going to be getting the DVD that they're selling just to get the full show. So I love that they said no recording, because that is such a distraction to me when people are recording, because they usually hold it up high and they don't think about anybody behind them. It turns into a zoo in the audience section because everyone's trying to get their kid. It's a nightmare. So I was really thrilled that she had that policy in place. Now, of course, people don't heed the rules, so there were many people who were just recording anyway. But one family took it to the next level. So after about 4 dances in, the youngest group of kids came out, and they were girls, probably I would say 3 years old, little ballerinas, absolutely adorable. The little ballerinas walk on stage, and right off the bat, one family, they start screaming and shouting and yelling for their daughter so loudly. It was just totally jarring and distracting, like as if we were at a sporting event or something, when this is a ballet recital. So I don't even remember what the little girl's name was, but let's just say it was Annie. It wasn't Annie, I'm protecting her identity, but let's just say it was. So they are screaming, "Annie, woo!" You know, they're just like really going wild. So little Annie walks onto the stage, and she, instead of thinking about her dance, she stops and she kind of looks down at her family, and they're all going completely and totally wild, right? All the other little girls are a bit confused, and some of the parents look a bit miffed, you know, they look a bit angry. So I'm thinking, okay, they're just excited, fine. Okay, so the dance goes on. These people literally screamed the entire dance. We're screaming, I couldn't even hear the music. And then several of them stood up in the audience. They not only were not recording in their seats, they actually stood up and held the iPad or whatever it was that they were filming up really high. So they stood up. I'm trying to like demonstrate this for you. They stood up, okay, like this, and they're holding the iPad, completely blocking the view of everybody around them, and just making such a spectacle of themselves and recording this production. And this went on for the entire thing, and they're shouting and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, my husband and I just looking at each other thinking, what on earth? What on earth? Have we forgotten that we are not the only people here? That we are not the only people on earth? It's not just our daughter on stage. People forget that it's not all about them. It was actually, at first it was just unbelievable, then I chuckled, then I laughed, but then I got really sad because I thought, you know what, this is the way it's going, where we just have no regard for other people and how they're feeling, whether or not their daughter might be in the performance, and they can't see. So this went on, and then after the little girls finished their dance, which half of them weren't dancing because they were looking at the people in the audience, once the girls left the stage, then something even more remarkable happened. The entire family got up and they left. They left. They didn't want to see the rest of the show, nothing. They came to see their daughter cause a scene, and then they all left. So I was relieved that they left because I thought, I don't want this happening. My daughters hadn't gone on yet. I wanted to just focus and relax and enjoy the show. So I was glad that they left. However, it was so rude. It was just incredibly rude. They were only thinking about themselves. It was narcissism at its absolute worst. So they were blocking the view of other people, they were shouting, they were drawing attention to themselves. It was all about them. So that is why I wanted to discuss this today, because that was just a level I have never seen before. Even my husband, I had other friends there, like I said, and afterward, we couldn't believe what I just saw. I have seen this version on various things, and usually they involve children. I understand, people are so excited that their child is on stage, they're really excited, and they should be excited. But as a society, we must not forget that it does matter what other people are doing. You must think of other people. Where are we going if all we think about is ourselves, what we want, what we need, what we can get out of a situation? I feel like we're just becoming these people who just take something, chew it up and spit it out and then walk away from it, which is what I felt like happened in this performance. At a different recital, actually the winter recital, I had another etiquette horror story for you. And it was a family who had their young child with them, and you know, she didn't want to watch the show, she wanted to watch the iPad or something. So the parents let her watch the iPad, but the only trouble was they didn't turn down the volume. So while you're listening to the classical music and the ballet dancers, you're also hearing this really loud video game. And I looked back at them, and a few people around me kind of looked back at them thinking, are you going to turn that down? Because that's rude, you know? And so when they tried to turn it down, their daughter had a tantrum. So instead of exiting the show or going and standing in the back, they just turned the volume right back up on the device. So we had to listen to a video game in competition with the ballet recital that was going on. That's just another example. And I have so many more, which I'm sure you do as well. Some people say to me, Jennifer, you are just so uptight. Can't you just relax? Can't you just watch the show? And I think, you know, because I write about etiquette and I talk about it and I'm an observer of it, that maybe it does hit me a bit harder than other people. But I'm just amazed at how little regard people have for others. And I think it's a bad symptom in our modern day culture. And I think that it is only getting worse because as I attend more and more of these events, it seems to be getting worse. So I wanted to do this video just to share with you. I think it's important to talk about these negative experiences as well as the positive ones, because it draws attention to it. And maybe somebody who's watching this might think, oh, you know, I never thought about that. I never really thought about the person behind me or the people around me. Because I understand we've got a lot going on in our lives, and you know, I'm sure that on many times in my life I do things that, you know, without regard to the people around me. And I would love those things to be brought to my attention. So I would like to close it out on a positive note. I do have a few etiquette tips for audience members that I think that we can all find useful, and hopefully that these will be great. I hope this video is seen by a lot of people and we can just discuss them in a nice and helpful way. So the first tip is to not draw attention to yourself. It's not about us as the audience members, it is about the performers. If you are allowed to record something or use your camera, I think it's perfectly acceptable to do so, but just be mindful of the people around you. It's very inappropriate to hold up a camera like this when you could potentially be blocking the view of dozens of people behind you. If I'm ever recording something, I make sure that it's low and you could still see it, or you know, you might have to go this way or that way, but make sure that it's low, that you're not holding it up to block the view of others around you. If you are bringing small children with you and you plan to let them watch something else, you know, it's a good idea to bring headphones so that you're not, you know, having noise that's competing with the performance. So as parents of small children, rather than showing your support by yelling out for them, I think that distracts the child. They know that you're in the audience, but just allow them to have that moment on stage. You don't need to cheer them all the way. Plus, we don't need to make our children really do think that the world revolves around them. So they can go on stage and do a ballet performance and you can clap at the end and they can just have that full experience of what it is like to be on stage in front of an audience, which is a very important experience to have. And I think all children should experience that, public speaking or being in front of other people. I think it's valuable. We don't need to cheer them on every step of the way. I think that that is excessive and it just, you know, it gets to their head in a certain way. I think that if at all possible, if you're able to stay for the whole performance to show respect to all the performers, that is a good idea. I understand some people need to leave early for various things, which could have been their case as well. But if you have to leave early, just don't draw attention to yourself and try to not interrupt other people's experiences. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other major things, but the point that I wanted to make with this video is that we should not be narcissistic audience members. We should not be solely focused on ourselves and what we want, what we can get out of it, our family, and not thinking about other people's families. For the little girls that went on stage, all of those other 8 families or however many there were, they probably were so distracted and blindsided by the behavior of that one family that they may have missed part of their daughter's performance. So I think that that is a shame. This Tea Time with Jennifer, I just wanted to have this quick etiquette chat with you to share my story and to hear from you. I would love to know what has been your experience as an audience member recently. Have you been around other narcissistic audience members where it is all about them? What have you found? It is very important that we discuss these things, because if we don't discuss it, they will just continue to get worse, and it's good for us to have a dialogue about it. So let me know in the comment section what you think, if you have any stories to share with us, any other tips for audience members that you may have. Leave them down below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on the Daily Connoisseur. Bye!